There it is. I had to find the hide button. And here we are. I think I'm talking. I think I'm not muted.
I
It's
hear
not a
you.
big joke. It is April 1st, however, but I promise no fooling here. It's the Dev Talk Show on a Tuesday. And I'm here with my co-host Rich Ross. How's everything going?
Good, Chris. How are you doing?
Good.
Been a little bit. Good to be
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, it's been a little bit. But there's a lot of exciting stuff to talk about. I guess this is the first day of the second quarter of the year, which that's great. So the year's flying by already. And we've got a short time today to talk about the Orbital project, which is the user group management application, but specifically a few new technologies. Newer technologies, I think we're going to take a look at, see as far we can get with things like .NET Aspire and CosmosDB and so on.
Yeah. Did you almost say expire?
I stopped.
That's good. That's good.
I didn't know if anybody caught it. So
that was funny. No. I think, and I'm actually doing. You played the 1 minute intro, so I'm behind getting my. It's funny how much you kind of get used to the length of that intro and how it goes. And I was expecting 2 minutes, so I was kind of doing some things, and now I think we're in a good spot. So I'm gonna reset my repo back to main, and let me see what that does for Visual Studio here. Yep, I got to reload some stuff, so that's all happy now. Cool. So let's go into that. Let's go. Well, that closed a lot of files too, because all that is here, and you can probably go to my screen if you want. We can jump into it.
Okay, as long as that's all right, because I was gonna.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's nothing.
There we go.
Yeah, so it's kind of an empty screen, or it is a limited project. So this is the Orbital web project that we've been that we kind of started and went down the path of making the decision of this being Blazor WebAssembly. And what we're going to do here is start to do some of the things that we mentioned. Let me see if this is up in our project plan here. So this is what we did last show, was kind of focused on building a project around moving Project Orbital to something that we want to continue to build out. Project Orbital is a code name we have for a user meeting application. So being able to have define meetings, define content that is in those meetings, and define users who want to be who want to go to those meetings or be part of that user group. And that's really where the impetus came from, right? Having some way of using collecting information and being able to manage a user group like we do at our local Philly.net user group. So that's where all this started. I am going to borrow the name that Jeff has C# Fritz has given to this in Aspire.fi, and be able to essentially say, well, that's what we're going to do with our application here. So I'm going to move that over to the in progress swim lane on our Kanban board here. So now we've basically saying that, hey, this is the one that we're going to go ahead and work on. And if I click this, then we get into more details, right? So we want to add.
I told Jeff to trademark this, Aspire.fi. So
well,
I don't know if
we've
beaten him to it.
Which
I don't know if we've beaten him to his trademark application, but in any case.
Definitely. Yeah. And so these are the things we want to do here. We want to put some .NET Aspire orchestration capabilities in there. We want to make sure all the references use the .NET 9.1 version, so the latest version of Aspire, not the 9.0, and just kind of go from there. So that's kind of where we want to start. Markra, good to see you. Yes, it's good to be back live again. Happy to have you along and watching us as we try to build out an app here. So we'll see how that goes. If I go to, so let's go back into Studio. And from here, we're going to run through the steps. We're going to take the solution file and It's just what I get for going from memory. I think it is this one.
Yeah, there is. Yes.
A couple different ads, but this is the one we want.
Right.
If I drill into this, it's add our Aspire orchestrator support. So that's what we're going to jump in and do.
And I think, if I recall correctly, this is one of like possibly 4 ways to do this. Is one, maybe even more. I mean, you could add it yourself because it is
right.
Orchestration as code. You can do it on project creation in Visual Studio. Yeah. I think you can also do this from the command line.
Oh, wow. I've not tried that, but that would make sense.
I'm not. Yeah, I think so.
Probably and then for something like VS Code support.
Right. And that's what I'm thinking is I think that there's also VS Code support as well. But that's the key here is that as you were doing this, I didn't want it to make it look like this is the only way. So
yeah. Nope. All good points. And I think what's really cool here is as we go in and take a look here, we've got our project name Oracle or Orbital, and we can use that as our prefix. So it's actually given us some great suggestions of what it's going to call them with orbital.apphost and orbital.service defaults. So those all look great. I think we're just going to take those and accept those, but it's not happening with this. Why? Interesting. Let's see something real quick. I am in Orbital. Oh, because all of those. Wait a minute, I rolled back.
Oh, I see. It's colliding. It's complaining with what you have.
Yeah.
So if you switched, that just switches the branch.
Yeah.
You'll want to reset to main if you really want to roll the code back to how it looked before.
Okay. So do you have a is it just
get reset main, and then again, if you want the files to roll back, I tend to say -- hard.
Okay. And all we're doing is ripping the sticky from one thing to another. So it's not
basically, yeah. If that other code is already on a branch somewhere.
It is. I just checked it in on another branch.
Okay, then that remains. And basically what you're doing is you're saying exactly what you said is you're saying, hey, go to this commit. I want the files to look like this commit. Otherwise, what Switch did is it said, okay, switch the branch. And now what Git is saying is like, well, okay, I don't know what some of these files are. I'm not going to remove them. You might be interested in adding them and committing them.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, but Visual Studio says, wait a second, those are in the way. So now if you do an ls, so you're not expecting app host? Or wait, you are
not
host.
No, because I expected it to match.
I'd have to see what the repo looks like, which may or may not be up in. I don't if you put it up to GitHub.
Yeah, get URL origin. That's what I want. All right, it should be this.
So you're right that main does not have. Of course, now main for you, perhaps, because I don't know what yours looks like. You could try git reset origin /main -- hard. You could try that. You misspelled origin though.
Oh,
just so you know when it crashes out on you. See, the thing is, it's the same commit. Update workflow with Blazor WASM standalone variable.
Can we list the commits and go back?
Well, I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, you do have this update workflow with Blazor WASM standalone base variables. My problem is why. Okay, let me think for a second. There's to remove untracked files, do a git clean -n -d.
What was the first one? Get
Dash
clean.
N as in no. I'm terrible at that. November. D as in
D
yeah,
as in
do that.
dog. Okay.
And now what it's saying here, oh, that's it. It would only remove one thing. Okay. So that is a way to ask it, if we remove untracked files,
Oh, what
what
would
would you
go?
do?
Yeah.
But the weird thing is that when I look here, let me look at when I look at orbital up there, I see the same commit 30A7954, which is
Mm-hmm.
where you're at, update workflow with Blazor WASM standalone base variables. And I didn't see in the root folder, I didn't see some of those Aspire. I think they're Aspire, I'm not positive, artifacts.
Yeah. I mean, and I only ever committed up to this. I only ever committed back the main branch. So I'm wondering if I just
Hold on.
Well, this is not how I expected the beginning to go.
Can we go back to your PowerShell?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, yeah, there's the GitHub folder, the VS Code folder, Orbital Web, and the other things are there too. I mean, you could theoretically, we know which 4 folders are the issue. You could theoretically delete them. I'm surprised that they didn't show up in the clean. Because I've done this before. It could be that clean has a recurse command that I'm forgetting in order to go through subfolders.
Mm.
That might have been it. It might have been that we also wanted a -X on there.
-X?
Yeah. In fact, before you do the next one, you could try it real quick. The git clean, the dry run is what I was doing, just so I like doing a git clean with the dry run, which is -D. That way it tells me here's what I'm about to do instead of just blowing it away. So if you do -N-D-X, this might be the recursion.
Yeah.
There it goes. So now it's saying, here's what I would do. So I think what I was missing was the -X. Here's what I would do if you remove the -D.
Okay.
And that might have been what you wanted.
So like this.
Yep. So there's 2 different operations we did here for folks that are unfamiliar with Git. One was, oh wait, I think N might have been the dry run. Maybe my brain this morning.
It's okay.
N is dry run. And okay.
Clean.require force is true. And F not given. Refuse to clean.
That
so
might have been
I gotta do the
that might be
-F.
true. Yeah, that's probably true. I think -X may not be doing. I think it might. -X I think says to ignore git ignore. So it's struggling with it. You might be better off doing. There's a way to do this. It's just not something you have to do very often. So to explain what happened is git reset moves the current branch that you're pointing to. The current head that you're pointing to a different commit. That could be a branch. It could just be a commit. It doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
And -- hard tells it, I want you to replace the files I have in my working directory with what that commit has, because you can also do a git reset soft where you say, I want you to move the pointer, the head pointer, but I want you to leave the files, because of what I'm going to do now is I'm going to commit over top of that. That's a possibility. That's a very common use case. But what reset generally does not do is it doesn't touch what are considered the untracked or unknown files, because it thinks, I think the default posture of Git is to do no harm. And it's like, well, maybe you're trying to reset somewhere so that you can commit this new stuff.
Gotcha.
But I admit, with all these commands, right, it gets confusing. And I think in our brains, the concept of switching is like, well, I switched branches. Why didn't you switch the state of the world? And Git says, well, wait a second. I don't track all these files. I don't know why these files are here, but I'm not going to just destroy them. Yeah. There might have been a way to do the reset too. But anyways, okay, so let's see if this, after doing this, if we have put your folder to basically look like it does up in GitHub.
So sorry. Yeah. So if I do this, so this is what my folder state currently looks like.
Right.
Right. So I've got my GitHub, my orbital web, the git ignore, the things you see up in the GitHub environment. If I go back to here and I rerun this, it shouldn't give me an issue now when I say add .NET Aspire support. Yep. I've lost the red X at the end of this here. So we are good to go ahead and push those in. I'm not worried about the solution file, because if the solution file had those other projects still referenced, I would have seen those in here as, as projects that would want me to reload, or would have brought them all in to begin with. So I think we're in good shape there. Now we got our .NET Aspire app host overview information there, which I'll get rid of. And then if I come back into here, you see we now have our app host, which is our default, our startup project. I've got Orbital Web, which is the one that we had. And then somewhere in here, our service default is right there.
So Aspire Orchestration added those two projects. Okay.
And the thing I want to check, because this seemed to be, it's doing the same thing here. So there is a dependency.
I thought app host would rely on service defaults.
I think it's so I'm pretty sure it is. App host is reliant on Orbital Web.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
And service defaults is reliant on Orbital Web.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, that's wrong. It's not that way. It is Orbital Web is reliant on service defaults. I think that's how it goes.
Was that something you found you normally have to add?
Only projects build in this order. Use the dependency tabs name. So let me do that, because I don't think that's the order. I've only had it be a problem this first time I've done this part. So
okay.
Let's see. So app host definitely needs Orbital Web, because that's got to be the first thing that goes. What does Orbital Web need? And I don't think it's. If I do that, then what's the build order? Because you kind of want app host to be built last. You want it to.
I thought app host relied on service defaults, because service defaults has like the constants. I could be wrong. That's just what I thought.
So then it's probably this. Because then we could, that's right. Because then it's web, and then service defaults, and then app host. That makes sense. Okay. So what we did was we set it so that service defaults is relying on Orbital Web. Orbital Web doesn't have any dependencies, but app host has a dependency on service default, so that it builds that way. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. So if we hit OK, we should be able to, we don't have anything in our program file here, so we don't have anything ready to go. But what we could do is do builder dot add project. Yeah, this was the bit where it got a little confusing. Because it doesn't seem to know who. Oh, if I spelled it right. No suggestions. And it's not the host, it's the web we want. Let's do this. Because I want to make sure we get the we at least get the basic app host orchestration put together.
Yeah, so I just interesting when I did the I added orchestration separately to a brand new project, and it's interesting the way it set up the.
How did it wire it up? Because I'm going from memory here. I know I got it working,
Yeah.
but
Where's that menu again? Is it in debug?
It's build dependencies. Okay. So if I go back to this,
I'm trying to remember if it's in the configuration manager. No, it's not.
No, if you do app host and you do this here, build dependencies, then you get project dependencies.
So it said app host depends. It has app host depending on the app. And then it has service defaults depending on nothing, and the app depends on service defaults.
Okay. And then the app depends on service defaults.
I guess the reason that makes sense is because you've already changed the depends. Their build order is service defaults, then Blazor app 1, then Blazor app 1 app host. So service defaults depends on nothing in this scenario.
Yes, that's what we've got here.
And then Blazor app, well, the web app depends on service defaults, and then the app host depends on the app.
Right. And that is what I thought it was.
But what's interesting is it didn't seem to change your build order yet. I don't know if you have to hit OK first.
Well, it did, because we did have web and then service defaults and app host, and now we've got web, app host, service defaults.
Yeah.
What is yours?
Service defaults needs to be first. But again, if you click OK.
And I come back over here. I mean, one of the important things is, see, I don't want it seeing the app host because the project we're trying to add is the orbital web.
So
I'm just doing a build in this so that this order and dependencies kind of flow, right?
Right.
Everything succeeded. So now, hopefully, if I go back to here, uncomment this.
Yeah, and you want to add the project. That's true. Builder.add project.
It wants to.
So the namespace that we're in right now is projects.
Yes.
Maybe. So I don't know that you necessarily have to type projects, but if you can, you'll get IntelliSense. Because what you should get is that.
Right.
Except you don't want the app host.
No, because
you want it to be orbital web app. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go here. Let's go to trying to think of where this stuff is. It's not defined in service defaults. I thought it was.
Service defaults.
No, it's not.
Okay. That's that post configuration overview. That might have been the other thing. So if we look at, we go back to here, forget this because that's kind of got it defined the way we are. If I go back to edit project file.
For which one is
See,
this
this
now?
is
This is
supposed to, so this is the orbital app host, and it's supposed to be, we made a reference to it.
yeah, it's not showing the project reference.
It's not. And I think that was the, go ahead.
Right. It should, yeah, I think Copilot's going to get you through here because I was going to say type project reference. I was hoping Copilot would get you through, and then includes an attribute. And then you could say equals. It's just include without the, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got it. And then backslash the name of the CS proj. You want include to be singular though when you're done with that.
Oh, okay.
So this is the CS proj file now. So that could be
going up a level.
Yep, you're right about going up a level. Yeah, maybe. I don't know how.
I'm pretty sure there were two values in there. And then that's it, right? I don't need anything.
It says it's an Aspire host, true. It's got the SDK name in there. Okay.
Oh, it's got all that in the reference?
No. I'm looking at the rest. I'm looking at the rest of your. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So let's go back to program. Bingo. That's what we wanted.
Yep.
That was a long way to get there.
It's still complaining.
So why are you not happy? No overload method takes 0 arguments.
Oh, that's right.
Because we need to name it.
Because
right?
you need to give it, a string name.
Good call. Cool. So we can just do that for right now. We don't need to say, we're not referencing anything else. So essentially, if we go from this, we should be able to run it.
Yeah, it's interesting. You had a little bit of manual setup there that, oddly enough, I did not run into. But while you were sitting there working, I just did a file new project and then immediately added orchestration.
Okay.
So who knows exactly what happened there.
It is interesting. So it's showing up on port 7045, but it's also showing up on 5302. Both of them are HTTPS. Something we will have to.
Well, so that actually here. What was the other one? The other port?
7045.
Okay,
which is what shows here.
Yep. Well, hold on. We'll go back to the dashboard real quick.
Yeah.
So it's showing that the app's running on 7045 and 5115. Now go try the 5115. Just click on that. Watch what happens when you. Well, so you're on 5115, okay?
Yep.
But you were saying something about how they were both HTTPS.
Yep. So this one.
That's big. Yeah, that I think is because of something in Program CS.
Okay.
In a Blazor app, I'm pretty sure we get this by default. We get the redirect.
Assembly?
No, I think we get the redirect to HTTPS. I think they throw that into Blazor projects automatically, and I'm trying to find it so that we can talk about it real quick. It's yes. So if you go to Program CS for this app,
for the web app itself,
for the app, yeah, not the Aspire host. As you scroll down, I guess we don't want it in client. We want it in server. Except that is this a standalone app?
No, this is the WebAssembly.
Okay. So it's a WebAssembly standalone type?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not sure where this is coming from, but I will tell you that in your typical Blazor web app, there is a piece of middleware called use HTTPS redirection, and it
Yes.
redirects requests to HTTPS. What I'm thinking is that we just haven't discovered where, but I'm thinking that's happening here as well. And I'm sure that Microsoft's throwing that in the templates in order to just prevent you from for it to just work. That
Right.
Generally speaking, none of us want our apps to run bare HTTP anymore. But I mean, I agree that this is all set up that way. Like that's typical that they expose an HTTP and an HTTPS port. That's typical. And then what happens is redirection comes along and sends you to the HTTPS version.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Not going to belabor it, but the important part is we got that to work. We had to add a couple of project things. I think the one thing I want to do next is, because if we notice, our orbital app host is currently in .NET 9.0. Same thing here. Well, so what we want to do is update those packages to be 9.1 so we can take advantage of the latest bits and features around that. So tools, look at package manager. Yeah. We make the latest table. That's the one where it needs to go. Oh, there we go. Install. That's fine. Fine. Interesting. Those were some older release candidate stuff. Maybe that was some of my issues. Okay. I think this looks good to go because that's the only thing it looks like we missed was that one. So let's go ahead and do the updates. That's on the web. Okay. All right. I think we're good. So we have, I'm going to close that because we don't need to save anything out of there. But if we go open it back up, interesting. We've got this one, but not that one. Oh, that's the SDK. Well,
yeah. And that tracks with what I'm seeing too. Were you expecting something else?
I was expecting we should upload the SDK or update the SDK to be 9.1.
Well, okay, so there's that, right? It's interesting that even the orchestration didn't update it, which probably tells me that I'm not updated. Like locally, it's very easy for us to. I think it's very easy for us to we install Visual Studio and then you get to work and you don't realize that Aspire is updated. So let's talk about why it's important for you to update Aspire, because there's a reason, right?
Yeah. And that reason is?
Well, the reason I thought I was like, and take it away, Rich. So the reason is because, and I'm probably going to get this a little, I think I have it mostly correct, is that Aspire support is not the same as .NET's. If you are used to .NET support and you just got it wired and you're ready to go, is that .NET support, there's the whole STS and standard support, but even more than that, it's that you're supported as long as you're up to the latest security patch, something like that. Yeah. .NET Aspire, you have to keep up.
It's its own separate
it's its own life cycle right
release
now.
Pattern, release cycle. There you go.
the only reason I'm saying right now is I don't think anyone's guaranteeing what the future will bring, but because this is a project that is clearly moving fast and learning from what developers are telling them, you do have to keep up. So the question now,
I'm trying to. So yeah, and this is
how do you
so this
do
is
it,
where I'm
right?
hesitating. Well, I know I've updated it to 9.1, so that's
Okay.
where. That's why I'm kind of a little. Well, it's not listed in the SDKs that are there. Maybe I'm not showing all of the. There's another .NET list, right?
What's interesting is that for you to see the .NET Aspire, that's a good question.
Huh. All right, let's go this way then. If I go back to this, boop, getting started, Aspire.
So what I don't know is if you can look at the templates. I don't know if you can look at that versioning.
In the template, you mean like a file
From
new
.NET
visual?
New. I'm thinking just even from .NET New, although you make a good point that it could be something you could tell from the file new project as well. But let me see.
And maybe I don't have it. I did update this, but you're right. It's not necessarily something that comes in the tooling, and that when there is a screenshot that is different than the one that we saw when I did add orchestration, where it actually gave you a drop down.
Yep.
If I remember right, that lets you go ahead and do that. And this one's not.
So are you talking about the enlist in .NET orchestration thing? That's in the web template. Anyways, so there's a couple ways we could do this. I just, now that I think about it, I don't know that there's a way that is obvious to me to see the installed templates, but I'm curious now because we have .NET New install, right?
Right. But right now getting Aspire into your project is a NuGet package, right? So we've got a.
Oh yeah, you can update it like that. We know for sure, and that's a .NET New install command. At least one way to do it. I'm not saying that you couldn't do this through the Visual Studio installer. You probably could, but .NET New install, and then you say aspire.project templates, and you put the version that you want. But what I'm curious about is there a way to see the version that you're at?
Right.
Because that would at least help me say, okay, let's see, is it .NET New list to list them all? And I thought maybe that would show versioning, but it doesn't look like it does. It doesn't look like it does because I was. Oh, I don't have it installed anyway. So, oh no, yeah, I do. So here's .NET Aspire, and I was hoping it would show me the versioning, but it doesn't. So you can
from where?
From the command line, I know how to update the templates, and that's what you're looking to do right now, right?
Exactly.
So it's .NET New install, and then the Aspire templates are capital A Aspire .project templates, and then you double colon and say the version you want, which I think is 9.10, right?
Yep.
And then because I'm guessing it's going to complain if you don't do -- force to overwrite your existing templates.
Okay. It's always good to use the force. All right, here we go.
The thing is, though, these are the project templates. That's not the workload, right?
Right. I mean, I should be able to take what's there and just add the NuGet package to the project. Although that I mean, thinking about it, if we go back to,
So the other thing is if you just go and change the Aspire SDK, like
okay,
start off by just changing the Aspire SDK in the project template.
in the project template like this.
Yeah. So up at the top, start off by doing that. And
Okay.
then at this point, you could go to NuGet Package Manager because it took that.
It did.
That problem. Oh, and let's see. Did it? We don't know.
Well, service discovery extensions 9.1. Yeah, I don't see any other reference to it there.
Okay.
Okay. Interesting. We're back to maybe I missed those. I thought we updated from the RC to 903. Except interesting. Multiple versions cannot be specified. Previously resolved 9.0 version from location blah 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 will be used and 9.1 will be ignored.
So what's the other location that has this?
Orbital app host.
I'm thinking the app
CS
possibly. So no.
I'm not sure. I mean, I guess what it's saying is I need to it's gonna.
I don't know how many projects. I don't know why it's finding two of these.
Yeah.
I just don't know where the other one might be.
I'm with you. I took care of the error.
Okay. I thought you wanted it to be 9.1 though.
I do, but if I do that, then it's going to come back with this, which is just a warning. But
yeah, but where's the?
That's the.
I would say
the only file it references is the same one is the one that I have open. Got them all. Is still not happy about this.
I don't know why it says that you have another version unless if you searched, you found that's in two places. But I don't know where that would be.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at this other app that I created on the side and it's not.
You're not seeing that.
At least I don't think so. Yeah, there's just one spot for it. And then let's see if I build it, does it? So all I did over here was change it to 9.1. And yeah, it doesn't build. So there must be a way to upgrade. So it says check for any NuGet package updates and then upgrade to the latest .NET Aspire templates with .NET New Update.
Which is what we did with the Force. Well, let's.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know because.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's close those.
So there are some top level packages that I still need to update here.
That seemed to get rid of it. It just needed to close and open again.
If you go to manage packages for solution,
Yeah.
which is in Solution Explorer, or I mean, it could be somewhere else too, but.
So this one.
Oh yeah, those all are 919191. So mine in this project, because I haven't updated them yet, they were still set to 9.0, but I have the option to update them. So I think I saw you go through that step though.
I did. Yeah, actually twice. Once for the Aspire stuff, and then again for the orbital.web and getting that off of the RC to 901, I think, or 91. No, 903 is where it is. Yeah, 903. Okay. So just to recap, we updated the NuGet packages. We did that .NET install templates from the command line, and we also changed the app host reference to the SDK to be 9.1. That gave us that little warning at the bottom, closing Studio and coming back into it, which kind of makes sense, right? Because those templates are part of Studio. Gave us basically got rid of that error and got everything back up online. So I think we're in a space where we're running, essentially 910 as far as this says. So I think we're good.
Okay.
Okay. Then looking at the clock, we got 10 minutes left. Because we got to make sure we hit your stand up. The other thing we wanted to add here is we want to, I probably should refresh my memory real quick from here, integrations. So it's all kinds of things you can integrate with. And we think about this application that we're building, we want to have some kind of a data store here, essentially. And what we want to do is basically get an application where we can have a Cosmos DB up and running. And it's not just any Cosmos DB. We want to take advantage of, which is pretty far down the line here. It's like one of the last things you can look at. And that is essentially this Linux-based emulator here that they have. So being able to create an emulator and be able to have it be specifically the preview emulator. So to do that, and then there's really cool with Data Explorer bit. So we'll walk through that in a second here. Order to do that, the first thing we got to do is get our package here. So let's copy this. At the orbital root. So So I just went back up to the orbital app host and running the package component there so that it's available to us. I can then go back to Visual Studio. And inside of here, say, make that equal to builder dot. So I think for this, we're just going to reference it as CosmosDB and leave it at that. I'm not going to give it. Yeah, that's all we're going to do is that. And then but we are going to add run as preview emulator. And why is it not happy? Oh, because we need to put the Warning disable, and it's not that. It is. No. Aspire Cosmos DB 001. Beautiful. All right, let's get rid of that. That gets rid of our warning. Cool. Okay. It's because it's you can read through the error, but I believe it's because it's a preview feature. They want to make sure you know that you're disabling that. And then just to check, because I forget the other. This is why you should always have the docs open when you're doing through this. Line delegates. No, too far down. That's the DB client. So this part here about having, I referenced it. It's a lambda and I referenced it wrong. So that's why it was a little funny. Emulator.with data explorer. And we'll see what that is in a second here. And that'll kind of be probably as far as we will wind up getting today. Emulator. So they just want the port that this is going to run on. So let's just run on 8888. It's fine. Okay. And not that we need to do this, but we could also say with resource. We won't do that now because then it's going to want to have the client and everything else inside of it. So right now, this will go ahead and create a Cosmo database emulator for us, and only going to expose the Data Explorer endpoint. When we actually go ahead and do this, we're going to have the API endpoints exposed as well. But given where we are time-wise, just want to show that we can get to a Data Explorer emulator. So we'll let this go ahead and
if I can ask,
yeah,
you're saying that we've told Aspire to run the preview emulator, the Aspire integration anyway. Yeah. But it's not ready for production because there's more you have to configure to say how it would talk to real Cosmos DB.
Exactly. Okay. And actually, right now it says running unhealthy. Oh, cool. It's finished. So if we look at this one, this actually gives us, and I'll bring this in and make us zoom in a bit. This actually is how we can connect to this local instance of Cosmos. So we've got a local host here. We've got our keys, connection strings. Not worrying about that because nobody's going to be able to connect to this from a local host perspective. But what's cool is we also have this here, which is very similar to the interface you have when you're looking at CosmosDB and it's running up in the cloud. So from here, I could go ahead and say, let's create a new container or create a new database and have basically interact with this just like if it was, just like if I was doing this up in the Azure portal, essentially. We can say we can call this one orbital. Container ID is going to be my app data and partition key. We can define, we can keep it very loose and just say ID so that anything that gets created, because everything has to have an ID. So that's going to, essentially give us, not probably what we're going to do when we get to the actual thing, but at least we can make it work. Let's hit OK. Add items. We can say give us a new item. And because this is right? So we can go ahead and create this and actually now save this document so it's there for us. Now it throws a bunch of additional fields and things around it, but we've got a very quick access, or basically quick access to a NoSQL Cosmo database.
Yeah. Okay. And the nice thing about it is it's all
Yeah.
local in that emulator. Okay.
Yep. Now, I think I'm going to try this real quick. I'm pretty sure that because we didn't make some of the settings in .NET Aspire that we might need to when we do something like that in a container. If I go ahead and rerun this, it's going to take a few seconds for things to start up. It's a little bit unhealthy. Give it a second. There we go. So we can go back to here and I can look at Explorer, and everything's gone because what happened was it rebuilt the container for us. So we didn't have, there are some settings in .NET Aspire to persist the container instance so that it does not, you don't have to reseed it with data every time you come through. So, and that data.
Is that part of the integration, you think?
It is part of, it's actually part of this command here. When we go ahead and build out the emulator, it's probably.
Yeah, here it is, Azure Cosmos DB. Okay.
Yeah, is the command there? I was just wondering what the command is.
So run as emulator, and then configuring the emulator, you already did with Data Explorer.
Yep. Is it more in here?
Persistent lifetime. And you can configure it with a persistent lifetime, or you can configure it with a data volume. And it says, I guess if you configure with data volume, you don't have, there's nothing for it. There's this place where it will already, by default, it will mount it in a certain path in the container.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure if that's exactly what you're looking for, but yeah, you did that. You used the Linux-based emulator. That's with Data Explorer. Okay. I don't know if that'll do what you were looking for.
No, I don't think that. So it certainly will mount it so it sits there, but there's also
persistent lifetime is emulator.with lifetime.
There you go.
And then the enum that you want is container lifetime dot persistent.
Yep, that's it. So you have some values in there. Let me get rid of this. Whether it's persistent, which we'll certainly keep it around, but you could also have it be session based. So for the life of your
so you're saying that you could set this, and what you think, even though it's like it might work, but we're trying it on the fly, is you're saying you could go set something, close this down, bring it back up, and it would still be there, or we think it might still be there.
Yeah.
Do you want to try it real quick?
Yep. What that will also do is probably have, although it's unhealthy, it might, because it's probably, so now that this is there, let's do this. Let's go to the emulator.
That's just the health check waiting for the emulator to start, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And we do a new container. We could say orbital container ID. Here is my app data. We'll leave all the defaults. Let's just go ahead and do it so we can see it.
You got to put in a partition key.
Partition key. Boom. Cool. I've got my app data. I've got items, right? And new item. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
So now if I go back to and restart that. So as before, it kind of got rid of it this time. And see, it's already up and running. So all the container building that it needed to do before, doesn't need to do now, but I can go here, and I have my orbital, I have my app data with an item,
Right.
and it's one
Already
item
filled
sitting there,
out.
right? So
Okay.
all that persists.
That's interesting.
So we've got, yeah. So it's not bad. We went a little over, but we had a little bit of a problem with the repository. But what we've done is we've gotten our project orbital aspirified, where we've got our app host, we've got our service connection, our service defaults in here as well. We've wired it up so that orbital web will start, and that we get a container built with those values in there to start collecting data for us. So that's pretty good. Pretty good time for an hour spent.
Yeah, no, it's interesting stuff, and definitely learning a lot about how this works. And I mean, we're combining a few things here. We're using CosmosDB with a NoSQL front end and Aspire at the same time to help, because right now there's just a web app in there, but all these things will get orchestrated for us. So
yes,
cool. All right. Well, like you said, it is a few minutes past 9.
Yeah.
Here in the US anyways. So
I'm going to, well, we'll clean it up, but basically I think we're there.
Okay. Now, do you attach a commit to that? Just, I don't know, out of curiosity.
We probably should.
Okay.
And because there is you can pick which branch you want to go ahead and push that to. So I should
well, that
do that and commit that all up.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you.
Definitely. Cool. Definitely. It was fun.
Interesting issues that we ran into, like doing things like, well, first of all, using Git, and then also on the fly, it seemed like we were trying to update Aspire to the latest version. So that's something I might want to look at a little bit more, just to see like what is there that maybe we want to get out there for people, because it's I was kind of cruising through the documentation as we were doing it, and they said like looks like it's supposed to work pretty well. So I don't know. We'll see what it was.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, everybody, enjoy your first day of April, no matter where you are in the world. And if you're watching in the future, let us know on YouTube by hitting the like button and adding any comments that you might have, even if you have some advice. Maybe you saw what we were doing and saying like, oh, I've done this before. It's really easy. All you had to do was X or Y. Or if you have some other questions that you'd like us to look at, let us know down in those comments, and we'll keep reading them and try to incorporate them in the show.
Yeah.
All right, Rich, let me get set
Chris.
to get out of here. And I think we're good. So for Rich, I'm Chris, and we'll see you all next time on the Dev Talk Show.